I'm not muted. I'm going to mute.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. How's your roof coming along?
The banging is finally stopped.
Yeah.
It is, these guys pick up these big packs of roofing shingles and throw them down on the roof to move them around. I think they do it on purpose.
We had our roof done back in January. So, yeah.
It's not an easy task.
No, it's
Hey, even I heard that. Looks good. Nice image.
yeah, it looks nice. Nice and empty.
I think I'm introducing the echo.
Are you gonna stay on? Should I make you co-host?
Yeah, you can go. I'll stay here. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure. Let's hope there's a big turnout.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna lower my volume.
Okay. Did you notice can you hear me? Get your volume up. Volume.
Did you say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say during the services today, your volume went down. I'm not sure why, but I logged onto your system and boosted it
I
up.
saw that you did that.
Yeah, and Dennis sent back, thank you.
So the volume, it always happens when Paul reads Torah because he has a very low voice.
The other one?
So I just boosted you up to 80%.
Okay.
And
That's
while I
good.
was doing it, while everyone was up at the Bima, I went over to Adina's and did the same thing and helped hers come up. I think we're starting to find the sweet spot is somewhere around 80, 82% for both of yours. But the challenge is she doesn't mute it as often. When you start speaking, there's a speaker right over her head. So Zoom gets confused as to which microphone it should listen to. And today, multiple times you were speaking, but she was highlighted.
Oh.
So it wasn't difficult to hear or anything. I just noticed it. So.
Yeah.
It's not great
Like
service.
the mask. Well, we have 4 people.
Made better time than expected.
What'd you say?
Made better time than expected.
Yeah, there wasn't much traffic on Georgia Avenue, so.
Yeah.
Oh, the lights are turning off automatically. See that? It's side, well, one row just went off. Next row is going to start.
Oh.
Yeah. That's right. So it's an automatic software program. We're not doing it. It's just set ahead of time. For yes, sir. So,
Okay.
yeah. Right. Yeah. Watching lights go off automatically and it's a software program. Yeah. It does it one column at a time. You have to have a good angle to see this last row, this last column over. So what's left lit are yard sites. And I guess once this is on, then the one on the left. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. I did not send the memo ahead of time, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tomorrow also.
Yeah. I just never changed.
Right. I'm usually like that. And Bart over the years has said, no, it's
Just why? Yeah. Yeah. I think that's perfectly reasonable. I mean, honest to goodness, I think Torah
Yeah.
should be certain.
Yes.
Then,
Yes.
unless you're in some Yakisha congregation,
Right.
you know,
That's right.
let them be Yakis. Fine. God bless and keep Yakis,
Yeah.
et cetera,
Yes.
et cetera.
Yeah. So the other one's not turning off. So I don't know why. They're doing fine. My father needs an antibody test at the hospital tomorrow since he has slight pneumonia. I guess his doctor wants to be sure that he has enough COVID antibodies to protect him. Yes, that's 8:30 tomorrow morning. And then we'll see.
Jonah?
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. Yeah, but I have Moderna, so either I lie, say I had Pfizer, or
Well, getting crossing.
oh no. I mean, right. Should I just go anyway and ask for Moderna, even though Moderna isn't allowed yet? Right. So I don't know. I don't know if CVS will give it.
I heard.
I will.
That it actually,
Right. So Israel is only doing Pfizer. So
We're doing,
right.
Moderna is okay. Moderna got.
but what they actually said it. Experts say, the issues about Pfizer is, and I mean, a lot of this is one somehow. It's either you're not sure where to look at cherry pick.
Right.
But what he's saying is that typically you don't wait at least a month, something 3 months. And so facts kept it. So it's 4 weeks apart. And in Britain, I think gave the Pfizer with months apart. What I want to know is, does that does that mean people there didn't actually get a stronger response? But
Yes. All the data is confusing.
well, I'm not even sure it's confusing. It's so much as folks don't look for it. I mean, they look at it.
Right.
How is your mom doing?
She's better. She's just has a big bruise on her face, but yeah, it just is throwing them for a loop.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Tooth still is
right.
tough.
That's right.
That was my fear. The household. So
Right.
you get quarantined in your house.
Right.
And how do you get whatever supplies you need?
Right. Yeah. Hey, Jackie.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Danny's coming, he just didn't want to come in.
Okay. Okay.
You have a special purpose?
The one that's at the seats? I like your background, Jules, and you can take your talus off. We don't need a talus for the evening service, but nice sukkah diorama there.
We got a new
I
light.
misspoke.
No, what?
He did not give it.
Oh,
But they have known each other since the Very good. Oh, good. So that's who they are. Toby and Phil, yes. All right. Okay. Got it. Yeah, there, she was like the first one on. Probably, yes. I'll show you a picture after. No, Phil, your dad's in a hospital. Yeah, so they're at the home. He, in June, fell out with pulmonary. Right, I remember. Then that was Memorial Day. Right. Labor Day, he decided he was going to get out of the car before he got his foot. Right. But the rabbi there last week, and my mom. I have a volume down low, Danny. So
I'm just waving.
wait. You're not going to be able to hear it. My dad mentioned it. And I get that. I get that. Holding the little up, actually with suffice it to say, it was a rather amusing picture, as one could imagine. Gotcha. And then I inspired down as I was little up he's holding. She says, yes, he's also holding an intro.
They said just an inch.
Yeah.
Right over the-
All right. That's, yeah.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Hanging in there?
Yep.
I know it's stressful with,
Yeah. Doing fine.
I'm pretty good today. I mean,
Yeah.
did she messed up her eye?
She fell on her, so that's why. Hey, Glazers. Well, because a storm was predicted, we had to tell the janitor, this morning how to set up. So. Are we done this morning? Yes, we're down for rain. Yes. So, hoping it'll be okay with everything. It's not that big. So, it can still spread out, I think. Oh, there are people outside, yeah.
You get the word?
Just as well that I didn't. Yeah, I read all about it.
At least that the big series starts.
Yes. Yeah, essentially, they have to win the rest of the games.
Yeah.
Slowly, yes, my father needs, cancer. Right?
I hope he gets healthy.
Right.
Getting people online. Charlotte, Jules.
Hi,
Are they real people or are they?
Yeah,
Charlotte and Jules, Gary and Stacy.
I'm real.
The volume's down so we can't hear Ira.
This did come on in Zoom, didn't it?
They were here this morning, Gary and Stacy.
I said, this
Yes, I
did
use
come
it
on
here.
in Zoom. This is not just live stream, is it?
Trying to see each other. You just get that.
Hi, Danny. Hi, Charlotte. This is
Well, when I
the
was on live stream this morning, you could see this angle coming in. I saw that angle and this angle if we're looking. Father. Charlotte.
Yes, hi. Do you hear me?
Is that the person? There was somebody that was on. Somebody on.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Charlotte. Can you hear me?
Yes. On this
Yeah, 'cause
morning
I
from the
unmuted.
hospital. That's probably my dad. Yeah. It's true. Yeah, I saw him. Yeah, I saw him. How's he doing?
Very, very slow, but progress nonetheless. He broke his femur.
Oh,
Fortunately, broke right in the middle of shank prosthetic. About 2 years ago. So that prosthetic is what's stabilizing it.
We'll see how far it rolls, Julian. Don't worry. If we can't roll the whole tour, it's okay.
That has.
And tomorrow
Yeah,
too,
cancer.
we could do it a half at a time.
He got out of the hospital. No more.
I know
4 hours.
I know
the show is in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
in a little argument. Turned, fell, and so he put him back in the hospital. They had a rush to back to the hospital. It really started to change when he broke his pelvis. Really, it healed, but really stressful.
Rabbi,
Improving. Yes. Correct. And my father so far is not either.
Rabbi,
No, Telly.
The only time. Unless you have a,
Unless nothing. Well, in a conservative synagogue, you only wear a talit at a Kol Nidre service. Other services, you do not wear a talit.
Rabbi,
Right, I'm saying at other synagogues, they can do whatever they want. Right. It's good to see everybody. I'm sorry that we're inside. The weather forecast said it was supposed to rain, and the janitor has to be told someplace to set up, so that's why we're inside. So we're gonna do a quick evening service. We're gonna do a quick evening service, and then we'll get to the Torah activity. So I'll be able to move the laptop into the social hall so that everybody on Zoom will be able to see what's going on with the Torah as well. So it'll all work out. So we'll get started. No reason to. It's 7 o'clock, and let's get started with the evening service. I'm going to be calling from the Blue Prayer Book, even though nobody here has it, because people on Zoom have it. So we're on page 28 in the blue, or page 39 in the red, and we rise.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch hu Adonai Baruch hu.
Baruch Adonai Mevorach leolam vaed.
May be seated.
Umavir yom umevil laila. Mavdil ben yom uven laila Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Hamariv Aravim. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
So in the blue, we're on 30 onto the front, and we're on the bottom.
He's totally sitting. Adonai Elohechem emet. V'imuna kazot v'yom alein.
On 43 in the red, onto the floor, in the blue.
מלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם. משה ומרים ובני ישראל לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך, חוקי הים לפני משה, זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גואל ישראל.
We continue on 33 in the blue, 45 in the red. Allow us, Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully. Awaken us to life, O Sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel and save us for the sake of your name. Shield us, remove from us enemies, pestilence, swords, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings. For you, God, watch over and deliver us. And you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace now and forever. May you spread over us a canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people of Israel, and over Jerusalem.
ושמוצתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
26 in the red, the line right of we rise, Vaydaber Moshe, Moadei Adonai, El Bnei Yisrael.
וידבר משה את מועדי אדוני אל בני ישראל. יתקדש ויתקדש שמך רבה, ועלמא דברך ירותך וימליך מלכותך, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל. בגלה בגלה בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יש מקרא מברך ועלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמך תקודשה בריך לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמא v'meru amen.
So we read the Amidah for festivals in the blue prayer book 41 to 44, in the red prayer book all the way to 306 to 314, following the directions for evening service and saying the lines for Simchat Torah. So as we conclude our private prayers in the blue, we continue on page 48 in the red. We turn all the way back to page 54 for the full Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמך רבה, בעלמא דברה קירותך וימליך מלכותך, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמך רבה מברך, לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, יתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמך לקודשה, בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא, ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צלותון ובאותון לכל ישראל, קדם ובאון דבשמיא ואמרו אמן. יש לומר רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
With the festival finish in the prayer book 8 and red 7 and 9. Normally we would have for everybody treats in a little bit. Cantor Adina, the grape juice by yourself.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol am, ורוממנו מכל לשון, וקידשנו במצוותיו. ותיתן לנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה, מועדים לשמחה, חגים וזמנים לששון. את יום השמיני חג העצרת הזה, זמן שמחתנו מקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כיוונו ובחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים. ומועדי קודשך בשמחה ובששון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש ישראל והזמנים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו בזמן הזה.
We continue with Aleinu 51 in the blue, 56 in the red.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרה בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס עולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד עד כן חברך אלוהי. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Warner Scottish is found in the blue on page 52 and the red 58. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah v'yalmad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayachon v'yomechon v'chayedach ol beit Yisrael agala v'zman karivim ru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam ome'ol mayah yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitramam v'yitnasei Yidhadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudesha b'richu V'ela minko birchata v'shirata tishbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom v'imroma v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Yeshua to Cantor Adina for leading us, and now we get to the highlight of the evening with what we're going to do COVID safely for celebrating the Torah. So for those who came in just a little bit ago, I know we advertised that we would be outside, but the weather forecast was such that we had to tell the custodian this morning where to set up. So based on this morning, there was supposed to be rain. So anyway, we're all here. We're fine. What I'd like to do is, as close as you'd like to come, let's begin the evening in front of the Ark and answer some questions that you might have about why, how many Torahs we have, why the Torahs look the way they do. So let's all stand up, and whoever wants to come onto the bima can come onto the bima. So I don't know how many of us have had an opportunity to be at the Torah. Again, let's be a little bit apart. We all have masks on, and that's good. And we just want to make sure that we keep our masks on. And so, well, okay. So what about the silver? Yes, why is this Torah different from the other Torahs? Does anybody know what kind of Torah this is as opposed to the other Torahs here? Like, one of these things doesn't look like the others. So, right? So why? What does anybody know what's special about this Torah as opposed to the other Torah?
That's one used for high holidays.
Well, we know we never use this Torah on the high holidays. Yes, Morris. Heard it. It's a Sephardic Torah. Okay, so what does that mean? Most of us in this room are what kind of Jews? Ashkenazi Jews, which means what? Where do we come from in the world? Where do our grandparents, great-grandparents, Central or Eastern Europe, or far, far away. Sephardi Jews come from the word Sepharad, which means Spain. Most Sephardi Jews trace their ancestry back to Spain or Western Europe or Arab countries, North Africa or the Middle East. So depending on where we're from in the world determines how we dress the Torah and how fancy we make the Torah. So for Jews from Arab countries or Sephardi culture, they would have the Torah in a case like this. Not all of them would be silver, so they could be leather or wood, but they don't have to be silver, but they're usually this shape. So that the entire Torah is inside. It's very heavy. Otherwise, I take it out and show you. But it's very heavy. And sometimes on Simchat Torah, we'll read from it. So the entire Torah here is rolled so that it's at the very end of the Torah. Alana knows all about that from her. This is the Torah that she held. Now, these other Torahs are all from based on Ashkenazi. No, let me see. All Torahs are written the exact same way. We're going to see what the inside of a Torah looks like in a moment. The Torah scroll itself looks exactly the same, no matter what kind of case it's in. The case determines kind of whether it's Sephardi or Ashkenazi. So now, what do we notice about the other covers of the Torahs here in this ark, Jonah? They are made out of. Yes, so all of the Torah covers that we have here, if you want to touch it, you can touch it feels like velvet or some other kind of fancy kind of material like that. That's you're Jonah 3. And I'm Jonah 1. That's right. There you go. So all of these are a fancy material. What else do we see on the covers themselves? What kind of designs do we see?
I see tassel at the bottom. Glitter around the word.
Oh, so maybe yes, there is glitter on these letters too to make it extra fancy. That's right. And so what else do we see? Why is there? Because we have extra crowns. Okay, well, so Jonah, let's get to your question. Why do we have crowns in the ark and on some of the Torahs? What's so special about a crown? Why would we have crowns or fancy kind of bells for the Torah? These go on here, but I can set them off so make it easier to carry this Torah. This is just like this, and like those over there, and those over there. And then we also have this kind of shape, the crown here and here and here. Why do we decorate a Torah with these fancy silver crowns?
God is the king of the universe.
What?
God is the king of the universe.
God is the ruler of the universe, and the Torah kind of is God's word. Yes, that's right. Also, the way that we dress a Torah is the way that some people dressed a long, long time ago when they did the service. They had to wear a special uniform that would have bells on their uniforms too. So just like the Kohanim would have a bell or bells on their costume, so too some of these have bells. They don't ring, but they make a noise if they touch that part of the silver. Now, what is this called that some of our Torah scrolls have? Yad, which is Hebrew for what? Hand, right. So that the hand is shaped like this, so that we're pointing, because we're not really supposed to touch the Torah inside. We want to use something else. We're going to touch it. So if we come up to the Torah for a blessing, we use our talit to touch the Torah, and the person reading from the Torah will use the yad. So now, what I want to do is let's gather around the white tables in the back, and I'm going to bring the Torah back there, and we're going to unroll it. And maybe we can sing a song as we go. If you have your prayer book with you, 404. Let me unplug the laptop so I can bring the laptop with me. 404, Torah Tziva Lana Moshe.
I keep that.
You want to? Yeah. Okay. You'll be in charge, Jonah. Okay. So make sure it's following me. Rata, 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 Ratsiva Lanu Moshe. Rata, 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 Ratsiva Lanu Moshe. We're gonna go all the way to the end. Rata, rata, well, actually, wait, I'm on this side. Go right here. We'll go right here. Rata, 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 rata. Siva Lanu Moshe. Rata, 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 Siva Lanu Moshe. Rata, 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 Siva Lanu Moshe. Rata, rata, Siva Lanu Moshe. Rata, 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 Siva Lanu. You know what, Jonah? Why don't you go on the other side of the table? Yes. Okay, so now, what is the Torah? When we say the Torah, we just sang about the Torah. What is the Torah, guys? What is the Torah exactly?
A scroll of paper.
It's a scroll paper, yes. Okay, that's how the Torah is written. It's written on like a scroll, something that unrolls. And we're going to unroll this in a minute. So it's on, the scroll itself is on two rollers. And that's how the scroll is written, because this is how they used to write books a long, long time ago. They would write it on a piece of paper called parchment and sew the parchments together. Let me show you how long this parchment is. One piece of parchment is this long. Okay, so it has 1 to 5 columns. Yes, my eyes are deceiving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. Now, if you look very closely, you kind of look this way, you'll see that some lines are etched into the parchment. If you guys can step closer, you can see some lines etched into the parchment. That helps the person. And you can see the sewing in there too. That's right. You can see it. Let me see. You can see what it looks like on the other side. Right here. See how they sew it on this side? You can, yes. You can don't touch the letters because we don't want the letters to smudge. But you can touch the parchment and feel how kind of furry it is, and it's not like real paper. Because it's a different, it's parchment, not paper.
Is that closer to leather than paper?
It is closer to leather because it's made from the same material as leather.
It's a little harder to
And that's right, it's a lot harder than paper. That's right.
I tried to bend it and I can't.
That's right. That's right. So now, I don't have, what do you think somebody writes this parchment with?
A feather pen and ink.
A feather pen.
I've seen someone.
You've seen someone do it. Very good. A feather pen, which is called, what's the one word for a feather pen? Starts with a Q.
Quill.
A quill. So somebody uses a quill with special ink. So you can't just go to Staples to buy an ink cartridge. It doesn't work that way. You can't go to a pen store. It doesn't make a scribed ink cartridge. No, you can't go to a fancy pen store for your for that kind. What a fountain pen. Fountain pen ink doesn't work. It has to be special kind of ink that the person who writes the Torah has to make himself. With the quill, what kind of bird do you think the quill is coming from? A pelican. Interesting, Morris Berman. A pelican. Well, it has to be from a kosher bird, and a pelican is not a kosher bird. So think of a kosher bird, and how big do you think the quill has to be? And think of a big bird. So what kind of bird do you think the quill comes from?
A raven?
A raven. Okay, that's good. Go Baltimore Ravens. But a raven is also not a kosher bird. So you can't use the quill from that. Yes, Danny.
A peacock?
A peacock. Now that would be cool. That would be really cool to have a colorful kind of
especially from the male peacock, the very colorful rainbow kind of. Right, so a peacock is a kosher bird, but they don't use peacock quills for writing the Torah. It's something a little bit more dull and boring than a peacock. A turkey. Ding, 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 ding. It's a turkey feather to write. Yes.
Wow.
So with a turkey feather, first on the piece of parchment, the scribe etches the lines into the parchment, nice and straight. And then the scribe, first he has to learn how to write the letters. Usually, no, not usually. There are several different styles or fonts for writing a Torah. So it all depends which school of scribe school the scribe went to know what font he's using. And I say he because most of the people who write a Torah are men who write a Torah. Women can do it, but most of the time it's men who are writing a Torah. So this parchment has 5 columns on each one, and the letters are pretty big. And all the columns are pretty straight, what they call justified. The scribe is doing this all by hand. How long do you think it takes a scribe to write a Torah? Jonah?
5 hours.
5 hours. Well, I'll tell you, I think it takes a scribe 5 hours just to write 1 column. Because, so why do you think it takes so long to do that?
Because, like, if you make a mistake, you have to start over.
Okay, depends on the mistake. So Jonah's right. So if you have to be careful you're not making a mistake. And so he's checking, the scribe has a couple books alongside. Every single letter, he's making sure he has it right. Yes, what else, Jonah?
When you trace the lines and he has to dip it in ink.
That's right. He has to dip it in it. So it takes a long time. And he has to concentrate. He can't have his smartphone on. He can't have an iPad on. He can't be watching TV while he's doing it. Can't be doing anything else. Has to only be focused on it. So it's very, very hard work. So 5 hours just to do 1 column. How long do you think it takes to write the whole Torah? What? How long, Nate? How long does it take?
1 year.
1 year is exactly right. Most scribes can write an entire Torah in 1 year.
Wow.
So now, if you were to buy a Torah, knowing that the scribe is writing it by hand, and it takes him a whole year to write a Torah, how much do you think the Torah would cost? How much would you pay for a Torah that would $1,000?
Exactly what I was thinking. $1 billion.
Well, so it's more than 1,000 and less than $1 billion.
$1 billion.
Well, how much?
10,000.
10,000. Maybe a used Torah, not a brand new Torah, be bought for 10,000. So it's how much do you think? 100,000 is a bit much. And so it's a bit less than 100. It's usually about $35,000 or $50,000. So it's a very nice car, or it's a Torah. So now, look at in the ark. How many Torah scrolls do we have in the ark? We have yes, that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we have 2 in the Grossberg Baumgard Chapel. So we have 9 Torah scrolls at $35,000 each. Okay, so that's a lot of money. Now, yes, they are all insured. So now, what I want to do, maybe we can sing another song, Cantor Adina, from that 404.
How about the one that's in the?
Which one is it? Those are half Torah scrolls. They're not full Torah. They're the half Torah. Oh yeah, let's do David Melech Yisrael. We got the hand movements. Melech Yisrael. I Vekaya. David Melech Yisrael. I Vekaya. Melech Yisrael. I David Melech Yisrael. I Vekaya. David Melech Yisrael. I Vekaya. Melech Israel, I Israel, Okay, I tell you, when it comes to the Macarena or anything like that, I can't do. But the Davi Melech Israel. All right, so Julian, if you can hold on to that, I want to get to the end of the Torah. So I'm going to roll this. So just hold that still.
I'll hold it still.
Yeah, so I can. Well, no. Hold it loose because I just let it go so that I.
Yeah, Jonah.
Please hold it.
Yeah, that's.
Put it on. Something they had to read.
What's that? Oh, it depends what the mistake is.
Can you please hold
Fix the
the
mistake
thing?
for it, yeah. Some of them have more. Yes.
Am I on mute?
You just have to
Okay,
pull
folks, let's gather around again. Let's gather around over here. I want to show you something. The end of the Torah. Yes, exactly. So, Alana Glazer became bat mitzvah a week and a half ago. And this was her portion that started right here and ended right here. Okay, so it's a short portion of all the other portions in the Torah that's only 2.5 columns. Now, what do you see about this that's different from the other sections of the Torah? What do you see here that's different?
Each line is.
Oh, the lines are broken. What do you suppose that means? Why is the line written? Why are the lines written like this and not right? The short lines instead of all long lines. So this is a poem. This is a poem. So that what all Torah scrolls, no matter what, every single Torah scroll in the Ark looks exactly like this for this portion here. And it's the poem that Moses taught to the people of Israel to remember as they were about to enter the land of Israel. And the Torah ends, we're going to read this portion tomorrow. It ends with the word, can anybody read this word without vowels? Yisrael, right, Yisrael. So the Torah ends with the word Yisrael. All of us are the people of Israel. The Lamed usually is written a little bit bigger than the other letters. And if we could, I don't know, well, let's see how long we can unroll the Torah. Let's see. I don't think we can roll all the way to the beginning. Okay, wait. So now, everybody can look. This is how many books of the Torah are there? 5 books. What's the last book of the Torah called? Devarim. Very good. There's the word right there. The second word here says Devarim. And you see the big space? That means that this last book starts right here. So the last book of the Torah goes from here, where Dylan is standing, right here, all the way to where Julian is standing. Wow. That's just the last of the 5 books. The 5th of the 5 books starts here and goes all the way to the end. All right, so now, what's the book that comes before Devarim? The 4th book of the Torah? Anybody know the 4th book of the Torah? Bamidbar. Let's see if we can get to the beginning of Bamidbar. Almost at the end of the table, but I think we're there. Wait. Here, this is something very important in the Torah here. Do you see these lines are kind of broken up? So some people bless their children every Friday night at the Shabbat dinner table, and it's a blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Right here from this part in the Torah, which is near the beginning of the book of Bamidbar, but we didn't quite make it. We didn't quite make it. No, now we have to stop here. The beginning of Bamidbar is just a little bit longer. Yeah. And we're not even, well, no, I don't want to take chances. No, so we'll stop here. So this is like chapter 2. So chapter 1 it's still hidden inside and we can't quite open all the way to the beginning of Bamidbar. So see how long this You see, so Jonah 3 said 5 hours to write a whole Torah. You can imagine 5 hours for one column and why it takes so long to write the entire Torah, and then to have to sew all the parchments together. So, and then make sure it looks nice and neat and beautiful. And that's why the Torah is heavy also. All of this entire parchment is very, very heavy.
Some pretty cool stuff back that way.
Oh, let's see what kind of cool stuff. Oh, yes, let's get back to Deuteronomy. And
What do they use to sew it?
What?
What do they use to sew?
Everything is animal products. Nothing synthetic, all animal products. So for the vegans in the room, there is no vegan Torah option. So it has to be written on parchment. There is no vegan alternative. You can buy shoes that are non-leather. What? Right. That's right. Where do you get the parchment from? That's a good question. I have no idea. Because I'm not a scribe, so I haven't had to look where I don't remember. It takes a couple. I just want to make sure. So our female scribes, definitely. I did. No, yes. I said before that women can be, but it's unusual. But when you learn the calligraphy, it doesn't matter. But it's here. All right, Morris, you're on a roll. Okay, where's the text? Oh, one last thing to point out for the Torah. Guys that gather around, we're going to finish up with this. We have one of the most important sections in the Torah is the 10 Commandments. So we have the 10 Commandments are written in the Torah 2 times. This is the second time that it's written. So we have a commandment here about keeping Shabbat. And we have the commandment here to honor our parents. And very important commandments. So the 10 Commandments here. And then in the very next column, we see something unusual with this letter here. You see that how this letter is written a lot longer. It's taking up a lot of space. This word here is echad. What's the first word of the line is Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. That's where it comes from, right here in the book of Deuteronomy, the book of Devarim, Shema. Okay. Do we have one last song maybe we can sing as we finish rolling up the Torah? Let's see what's there on 404 or 405.
Let's sing a Shema once.
Okay.
There's an Israeli tune for Shema that's awesome.
Okay.
It goes like this. Shema Yisrael Adonai Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu
Adonai Echad.
And how about Am Yisrael?
Yes.
Am
Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael.
Am Yisrael, Am
Before you
Yisrael,
go,
Am Yisrael.
Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael. I'm gonna go here.
Ora vino Chai, Ora vino Chai, Ora vino, Ora vino, Chai.
I don't know why.
Ora vino Chai, Ora vino, Ora vino, Ora vino Chai. Am Yisrael, Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Chai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Chai.
Ora vino Chai, Ora vino Chai. Ora vino, Ora vino, Ora vino Chai. Ora vino Chai. Ora vino Chai.
Ora vino, ora vino, ora vino.
All right, folks. There are apples and candy bars there. One apple and candy bar for everybody. We can schmooze a little bit. And have some out, everybody. Have some out. What? I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. Tomorrow and during the service tomorrow. Yes, well, the one in the chapel. There's another one. It's a Haftarah scroll. The one on the right and the one on the far left. We have two Haftarah scrolls. We used to use them a long time ago. Enter 11. Marriage. To learn the Haftarah scrolls. See. Yeah. Okay. So, folks who are on, Chag Sameach, everybody. At 9:30 tomorrow morning, we're on Roll of Torah and do some more singing tomorrow. And I hope everybody has. And tomorrow evening, we're at 7:40 for the end of the holiday. Chag Sameach, everybody.